We've got the carburetor on, spark plugs are in it, wires are hooked up. We are ready for the first startup of this 460 in my 1975 Lincoln Continental. Alright, I think we're ready for our first startup. We've got the big shop fan, or two fans blowing on it to help try to keep it cool. I've checked the timing, just cranking over, looks right. Kind of cleared things out of the way. We got battery charger on just to make sure we got a good hot start. Forgot to put the maintainer on it. It should be fine, but just in case. I have cranked it over. We have oil pressure. And we've got coolant in it, oil, transmission fluid, power steering fluid. I don't know what else we need. We've got fuel, new plugs, wires, gap plugs. Can't think of anything else. And we've got oil pressure gauge hooked up with the dummy light. I'm going to turn the key on and we're going to see if this thing will crank up. And I think I've got the idle, this is a different carburetor, but I think I've got the idle set up. What we're gonna have to do is immediately after we start it up, we're gonna have to bring it up and vary the RPM between 3,000 and 1,500 gradually for 30 minutes. That's the cam break-in for this camshaft, what they recommend. And we've got, I think it's Lucas. Yeah, Lucas break-in oil in it. So let's get this thing started. We've got the starter solenoid bypassed here. Timing sounds off. Double check the firing order. Messed something up. Could be 180 off. Could be 180 off. Good. If it's 180 off, yeah. So we're going to speed this part of the video up a little bit and I'll do some voiceover. Realized as I'm editing this that the shop fans destroyed the audio quality of my voice. They were so loud. So I apologize for that. But when we were cranking it over, it was popping back through the carburetor. I had already checked the timing with the light, and so we knew it was not just slightly off, where we just needed to, advance or retard the distributor. It had to be way off. So I came to the conclusion it's got to be 180 degrees off. And so that's what I'm doing here is I'm rotating the plug wires around to make them 180 degrees from where they are currently. Instead of, just re-stabbing the distributor because we have the timing close to where we want it. I just want to move the plug wires around. And, we can, if we want to put them back to where they were, we can re-stab the distributor later. We're just rotating plug wires for now. Trying to think of actually how this happened, because when I assembled this engine, before I put the valve cover on it, I rotated the engine over to top dead center of number 1 on compression stroke so that I would know that's where it was. But at some point, I must have rotated the engine over 360 degrees before I stabbed the distributor in it. I don't know if I just wasn't thinking, or I just forgot, or I thought I did it 2 full revolutions, 720 degrees. So your crank rotates twice for every time your camshaft rotates. So if you have it top dead center of number 1 on compression stroke and you rotate the crankshaft 360 and then stab the distributor in with the rotor pointing to your plug wire for number 1, you're going to be 180 degrees off. Evidently, that's what I did. I know better than that, so I just wasn't thinking, I guess, but evidently that's what I did. And so we're 180 off. Now let's try to crank it up now that we've fixed the plug wires. Leaking something. Let me check on this. So after a little investigating, what I found was the seal on the oil filter blew out, and that was oil spraying all up under the engine out from around the oil filter. So pulled the oil filter off, and right now, as you see me working, I'm putting a new oil filter on, and we'll crank it up and see what happens. See what we have for oil pressure. So as you saw from that clip, unfortunately, same thing happened with a new oil filter. And also, unfortunately, this photo you're staring at was my footage from the GoPro, because I must have accidentally put it in photo mode, and so I got this nice photo instead of a video. And in that, what I thought was going to be a video, I explained our whole situation here. So let me just recap that real quick. What I think happened was, I saw when I cranked it up, I was watching the oil pressure gauge, and that gauge goes up to like 300 psi, and it was heading towards 300 psi, and then that filter blew out. So I think the pressure regulator in the oil pump is stuck, and you know, it's just blowing oil filters out because there's so much pressure. Very unfortunate. Well, to tell you I feel defeated or disgusted, or I don't know, insert whatever word you want in there. That's how I feel. Any negative word of your choice. But yeah, what a mess. So that's got to be what happened. And like I said, I saw the gauge, the oil pressure gauge, it went way up, and then it went back down, and that's when the oil filter blew. So, you know, I cut it off real quick, but I mean, it was sailing up there that gauge goes up to, I think, 300 psi. And I mean, it was heading that way before the oil filter blew. And I had that oil filter on tight, and it blew the gasket out twice. So yeah, definitely have a oil pressure regulator stuck on the oil pump. It's got to be what it is. Looking underneath it, we got about that much clearance, about 1.5 inches between the cross member and the pan. I think if I unbolt the motor mounts, you know, the one bolt on each end, on each side, and then I jack up, you know, lift up the engine, I think I can get it. I think I can probably get the oil pan off. It's going to be kind of a pain getting to the bolts because the cross member is going to be in the way, but I think I can do it, and I don't want to pull this thing again. So I think we're going to do that. I haven't decided yet if I'll try to, maybe try to pull that pin. There's a pin that holds there's a pin, a cap, I think a spring, and then the valve for the oil pressure regulator. I think I'll go ahead and unbolt. Depends on how much room I've got. If I can't get the oil pan all the way off, if I get that pin out and try to, get that regulator out and maybe try to see if I can get it freed up. But if it's stuck this bad that we've got 300 psi of oil pressure, I don't know if I can get that piston that goes in the bore. I don't know if I can get that thing out. It's got to be just seized in there or something, maybe rusted, maybe there was moisture or something. I don't know. So, and the pickup, is pressed onto the oil pump, which sucks because that piston or that oil pickup I think was hard to find, and I do not want to reuse one. So if we end up going with a new oil pump, we're gonna have to get a new pickup tube as well. So just trying to decide the best route to go. If I just go ahead and just bite the bullet and get me a new oil pump on the way, and that way, we should, in theory, be okay. This one, I tried to save a few bucks. I think I paid about 30 bucks for this oil pump, and a new one this is a new one, but it was a new old stock on eBay. Yeah, sucks. So I may, it's been a while, but I may just reach back out to that seller and tell him, hey, this was a bad oil pump. Maybe I can at least get my money back on that. But definitely, I should have just bought one from Rock Auto, paid the 50 something bucks, and probably had a newer one that wouldn't have had this issue. This one, just sat too long, I guess. Had a little bit of surface rust on the oil pump, not much, just a little bit, and so I did clean that up before I put it on there. But maybe it was in a climate that caused it to rust internally, and yeah, just sucks. I'm feeling defeated right now, not where I wanted to be, and this is not good for our camshaft break-in. We've now run this thing. It's I cut it off quickly, but it ran out of oil twice. Not ran out of oil, there was oil in it, but it was blowing the pressure out the oil filter. So we lost oil pressure twice now. We do have a lot of assembly lube on this thing, so I think it's probably okay, but not ideal, and we were running this thing higher RPMs for cam break-in. None of this was a good situation. So we will clean this mess up and get some pig mats, get all this oil soaked up, and then we will get the Lincoln back in. I'm gonna jack it up. Now, I'm not doing all this today. I don't have enough time today to do it. It's gonna have to wait till next weekend. It's unfortunate. I did get to hear it run. It sounded good, but yeah, we're gonna be tearing back into it. I need to make sure I have a oil pan gasket, which I think I do. It was when I did the top end, when I did the head over there, it was cheaper to buy a whole gasket set than just buy, a head gasket and whatever. So intake gaskets, all that. So I think I have purchased 2 complete engine gasket sets. So I should have an oil pan gasket, an extra one. So I just need to think about what I want to do with the oil pump. I'm probably just going to order one and have it here, so that way once I get this thing torn apart, I can just plop that thing in here. And yeah, it just sucks, if you can't tell. Not where I wanted to be on this thing. So, but we will overcome. Hopefully we have not done any damage to any bearings or the camshaft or the lifters and all this mess that we've had. So I went crazy with assembly lube, so everything was lubed up, but yeah. We pumped oil to everything before it lost oil pressure, so it's not like we started up dry. There was oil there, break-in oil, and we're gonna need to get some more break-in oil because I'm gonna have to drain what we've got in there. Just, yeah, all around sucks. So sorry if I'm being a downer. It's where I am right now. So we will get this thing fixed though, and get it running again, and get the camshaft broken in properly and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, let me clean up this oil. I've already sprayed before I rolled the Lincoln out so I could clean this up, but before I did, I sprayed up under the Lincoln and tried to, with brake cleaner, and tried to spray, you know, the oil off of this thing that was everywhere. It's still everywhere, but it's less everywhere than it was. So, all right, let me get busy. Well, I hate to leave this video on such a down note, but that's all we've got for this week. Next week, we will, you know, get into this issue and, you know, do what we need to do to fix it. Went ahead and ordered an oil pump and a pickup tube. I'll have it before next weekend. So got that ordered just so I could get it. And so we'll tackle that in next week's video. So that's where we're gonna have to leave this one. Today that I'm posting this is October 20th, 2024. I will be having surgery tomorrow, October 21st. So if you would just say a little prayer for me, everything goes smoothly. I'd appreciate that. And as always, thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below, hit the like button, and subscribe for more.